Hey guys, welcome back to the Snapring Chronicles. Today we're back at you with another Ratchet video. Today we have another variation on the New Britain design, the Killness patent design. So yeah, but this one's by Blackhawk. This particular Ratchet is a Blackhawk, and this is the 34946 model. It's a 3/8 drive, as you can see there. And here's a look at the handle. And the knurling is not all the way from top to bottom on the handle. It's like kind of in the middle. Has like two rings here that have been kind of cut out around the handle. And the knurling looks pretty good. Feels decent, decent height, and is pretty uniform all around, even though I think Blackhawk was kind of a lower tier on the New Britons, so I'm not sure where they were marketed, if they were sent to particular stores or what the situation was that back in the day, but these seem to be a little bit less on the scale than the regular New Britons or some of their other brands that they ran with. But the special thing about this one is that we have on this one, I guess they were sucked into the whole thing with what do you call it, Craftsman, and the Craftsman patent, where they had the new quick release. So I guess a lot of companies were scrambling to add a quick release to their ratchets, and this is New Britain's attempt to add a quick release to their tried and true design. So let's take a look at what we have. Okay, in what keeps this mechanism in is the snap ring. I took it off to save a few seconds, and it's just the usual snap ring that you see on most of these design ratchets. So there's that, and this just pops out. Kind of an interesting take on what they wanted to do with their quick release. But let's look at the broaching in the head for a second. As always, these New Britons, they have decent broaching, and this looks like a little bit later on model. Of course, with the quick release, we can say that. But these have a little bit fewer teeth, because as we remember, the earlier design, New Britain's floating pawl design patent, it started out with more teeth, and then they went to less teeth and a less tooth pawl. So here we see these teeth look a little bit bigger than the earlier designs, and this one looks pretty good. I don't see any damage, and the broaching, as always on the New Britons, looks pretty nice. So there's a look at that. Okay, here's what they did. Here's the switch, and we remove the switch, and here is the switch part. This is like a cast piece. It's pretty heavy, and that's what that looks like. And this is what they did. Oh, by the way, this is the button for the switch for the quick release, and it is plastic. Okay, so here is the mechanism for the quick release. They, instead of putting a spring, having a hole underneath the pawl and a spring underneath, they added a spring to the plate here. And this is the spring, this coil spring here that connects here, and it has a little post that sticks out underneath the pawl here. Let me show you. I depress the pawl, see the spring moving, and that little post that goes under the spring, under the pawl here, the little post for the spring goes under the pawl, and that's what keeps the pawl up or pointed out, instead of a spring with a hole underneath in the mechanism. So that's what they did. And they omitted one plate, because usually these have two plates. So here we see they only have this one plate. So there would usually be, on the classic design, you would have a plate on top of a plate. So there would be this plate on the bottom without these holes. I think they omit these holes. And you would have, but they did have cutouts. So just a little bit different than this. And then you have a smaller plate on top of the bigger underplate, and that what helps with the switching. And here, what helps with this switching is that the switch itself has a hole in it, and that hole goes into that prong here of the spring from the plate, and that it goes like that. Did I do that correct? Let me see. Yeah. And it goes like that, and that's, let's see if I have to put the cap in. Just give me a second. We'll get this to work, hopefully. And it doesn't want to switch. Let's try that again. Oh boy. Always a problem. Okay. There's switch. Is kind of funky, but it does switch. I guess it needs better propping inside the mechanism to get it to switch more smoothly, but you get the idea. That's how that works. And let me take this apart. Okay, this post here that switches the quick release, the post will not come out, but the spring will. And this could be a pain to get out. The spring. So I just take one of the end out, and then I twist it. I twist it off like that. And this is what the spring looks like. And remember, this, you put the plate on first, and then this goes over the plate and onto the post. And here's the plate. And the spring. Here's the spring for the pawl. It has a hook on the bottom, and this is the post that goes underneath the pawl. So to put this back on, this is like a smiley face, so the hook part goes on the upper lip here by the nose, and the post goes between the eyes. So on the bottom it's going to look like that. You see the post sticking out, and that's where the pawl rides like that, up and down on that spring. And I'm going to leave the spring in there because I don't want this to turn into a long video. of just getting that spring in and out. And you know what that spring is. They all have this particular spring is intrinsic to the design. They all have this spring for the switching. So I'll leave that like that. Here's a look at the pawl. The pawl is pretty standard. Has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teeth. So it's the 9-tooth variety. And that's what that looks like. Has the little protrusions here. They go inside the eyes. So remember that. And here's the mechanism. Looks like the classic mechanism for this design. The only thing is, like I said, there's no hole here with a spring coming out that way because we have the spring already substituted here. And we have this plunger that I'm not sure how to remove. And I tried a little bit, but I didn't want to go too far and start really pulling or wrenching on it because I didn't want to destroy this mechanism. And it seems like this is permanent. If anybody knows how to take this out without destroying the mechanism, by all means leave me a comment and let me know how to do this. But for now, I think that this is a permanent fixture. And here's the ball detent, and you see the peening. The peening looks a little bit off center there, as you can see. And here's the rest of the housing. Looks pretty good as usual. A little bit of lines here. I don't know. Like I said, the Blackhawks, I think, were like the second tier of New Britain, so maybe that's has to do with a little bit less polish on these models. Okay, to get this back together, and this could be a little bit fun, getting these back together. So remember that this part here, the plunger, it goes like this, straight up and down. You don't want it on the side like that because it's not going to plunge like that. It only plunges like when it's up and down like that. And you put your plate back on with your springs, and make sure you get the post for the pawl spring. Make sure that that's underneath your pawl. Okay, like that. Then you want to test it out, see if it's springing. Yeah, it's springing. And the fun part is getting this spring onto this post. And it could be a little bit of a hassle. Because you gotta hold down the plate and everything. Okay. Let's try this again. This is kind of like the hardest part of getting this all back together. Okay, once you get it to spin on a little bit like that, then you can usually get it most of the way on. There. And it takes a little cajoling. To get the spring on. But be careful, don't stick your fingers. maybe a pick will help you out. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a pain. But there you go. Okay. Remember, the post is up and down like that, and you see if it's switching. The quick release, see the ball goes up and down. It's doing it, and it should look like that. You see if the pawl is still on the post, springy. Yep, it's still springy. Now you take your switch, like I said before, and you get, see the hole there, you get that spring leg, that long one there that's sticking up, and you get that in the hole like that. Oh, I forgot, you put the switch, the plastic switch, back on there, and now you put the switch in the hole, and the mechanism should look like that. It has a little raised part there on the switch, and that goes in that little slot there. Okay, now you take this part, take the mechanism and put that in there to the housing. You give it a switch, see if it's ratcheting. Yeah, it's ratcheting. And the final part is you take your snap ring and you compress it, and you get it into the groove on the inside there, and that's what holds everything in. Okay guys, yeah, this ran a little bit long because of me battling with those springs and stuff, but yeah, that's the New Britain's take on their attempt at a quick release, and this one is a Blackhawk, but I think they had also this mechanism in other ones. I think off the top of my head I want to say Pencraft also had the same mechanism with a quick release like this. I'm not sure how popular they were, if they were that popular. I don't think they really took off that much. I don't see many of these around, so I don't know. So there you go. Alright guys, until next time.